everybody. My name is Anna Yogan. Welcome to another episode of our Consciousness in Evolution, the podcast made available by Reaprendentia International. Today, we are going to be doing a partnership with Ectolab, the institution that researches and studies parasurgery and ectoplasm. And for that, we are going to receive a very special guest, Professor Fabiana Cerato. Welcome, Fabiana. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for the opportunity, Anna, and I hope we'll be debating a lot about ectoplasm and about the main subject as well.
Perfect. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. So, hello, guys. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with us. We are going to debate today about a quite meaningful subject, which is para-architecture and ectoplasm. No, it's very important to highlight that this is a research hypothesis. No, so and the main hypothesis is: can ectoplasm help to build, to construct, to highlight para environment, which are the construction, multidimensional constructions. And this is what we are going to be debating here today. And therefore, I invite you, all of you, to make questions and interact with us anytime you feel comfortable. So here is the main subject. We are addressing not the physical architect, as well. We are going to address physical architect, but now we are addressing para-architecture, which is the construction and the design that are in others dimensions, that are not in the physical dimension. They are in the extra-physical, in the non-physical dimension. And how this works, and the interconnection between architecture, between para-architecture, between designs, and between the ectoplasm. This is what we are going to debate today. And I would like to present myself, because that presentation will interconnect with the main subject that today we are going to address, which is I am an architect and a urban design. I also have a strong connection with architecture, and I used to interconnect my profession with self-research. And this is what brought me to the world of ectoplasm, and brought me to interconnect with Ectolab, which is the institution that addresses and studies ectoplasm. I also have been teaching architecture and also Conscientiology, which is the science that studies consciousness, which is ourselves. I've been for 20 years doing work as a volunteer in different institutions, among them Reaprendentia, ISIC, Ectolab, also other institutions, nonprofit institutions correlated with architecture. And I have two beautiful daughters now. This is also part of who I am. And we are going to debate about all of that. But in order to start this debate, it's very important to highlight this principle, especially when we address multidimensional issues. It's important to understand that we talk here under the principle of disbelief, which is do not believe in anything, not even in what you hear in this live, in this webinar. Experiment. Have your own experiences. It's a very specific matter we are going to be addressing. It's very important to have this principle in mind. And this principle is totally connected with the paradigm, with the way, the lens we use right now to perceive and to interact with the subjects we are going to be debating today. which is the consciousness-based paradigm or the consciential paradigm, addressed by different pillars. Among the 7 pillars, we have even other broadcasts in which we address specific for the consciousness-based paradigm. We have other lives to talk about this, but among those 7 pillars, one of the most important pillars are the number 1, which is bioenergy, which is the energy that interconnects with ectoplasm. And this is what we are going to see now. But before that, let me bring you here a question. Have you ever walked into a place, and immediately felt very comfortable, or on the contrary, immediately felt or wanted to live in a zip-zap very quickly, without knowing exactly why? This is the correlation we have with the broadcast we are talking today. Now we are addressing physical environments, right? So we are here. Sometimes I am in a place, or I am going to visit a friend, or I go together with a friend out in a specific place, and I don't know exactly why I feel very uncomfortable, something in my shoulders, or on the contrary, I feel very well and I want to stay there longer. So I don't know why. This is totally related with what we are debating here. This is totally related with the architecture of the place, but also with the para architecture and the ectoplasm and the energy for the place. We have some authors. We've been reading and bringing authors in order to build this lecture here. And we have even I have colleagues, they have been even researching the connection between vibration and places, right? One of the authors talks about degrees of life. I have other colleague that talks about the spirit of the place. And what is that? And where all that is connected? This is why those 2 pillars, they are important to understand. And of course, this broadcast is a hypothesis I bring to be debated. The 2 main pillars we are going to debate here is the para-architecture and the ectoplasm. So the para-architecture is the field that studies multidimensional environment. So we talked about the physical environment, but we have the extra-physical environment that usually we don't perceive. And we have also a connection with the ectoplasm, and ectoplasmy, the phenomena that studies energetic stereoization. Also, how those 2 fields, they could be interconnected, in which way we can interconnect those fields. This is the foundation for this research we are bringing today. 20 years of working as an architect, building many different places, and also doing many different designs, and also 20 years of self-research based in the conscientiological paradigm, which means that you study yourself from the physical and also from the non-physical perspective. So those items, number 1 and number 2, they are the base for what I bring today. Also, the reports. I have been having quite a good number of out of the body experiences, which are experiences we have usually when we sleep. We go to sleep, We pop out of the body because it's a totally natural phenomenon. And I have been having reports and I have been seeing myself building outside of the body, right? So this is what cause this connection, no? And also the readings and studying correlated with this area, no? This para-architecture area. So let's then start. What is para-architecture? No, so feel free to send any questions you want or any comments to complement this lecture. So what is para-architecture? It's the study of the energetic information and the conscious principles that are involved in the creation, organization, and maintenance of multidimensional environments. No? So this is the para-architecture, no? And this is the correlationship with the architecture. So once we talk about multidimensional environments, we also have to talk about energy, and we do have to talk about ectoplasm. And what is the relation between energy and ectoplasm? What is ectoplasm? So there are quite a good number of books, but this is also a very interesting book in order for us to explore more. And you can download it even in the site of Amazon. What is ectoplasm? So here is the definition from this book that we are bringing here. No, and I is placing there the link if you want to acquire this book. So here we have the definition as ectoplasm is a semi-material or semi-physical substance that is exteriorized by an ectoplastic, by a person that deals with ectoplasm, so an intraphysical consciousness that we can also call conscience, intraphysical consciousness, right? It may present different degrees of density and organization, serving as the energetic substrate for physical effects, materialization, paratherapeutic activities, and multidimensional interactions. So this is the definition from this book. I suggest you can go ahead and research more, read the book. It's a very interesting book. And together with other books, it talks about the need, from the scientific view, the need of parascientific methodology in the page 141. It's quite interesting because it's necessary for us to have this para perception, this para methodology, in order for us to address para phenomena. Because if we are analyzing a non-physical phenomena with physical eyes or physical lens, it will be hard. We do need to go a step forward. We do need to change our lens and apply multidimensional lens in order for us to comprehend, to understand what are the connections among the ectoplasm and the connection with us from the multidimensional point of view. So highlighting here once again, what is ectoplasm? Is the energetic substance exteriorized by a human body. So, important point, I do need a human body. Without a physical body, I don't have an ectoplasm, right? This is a very important point to understand the connection between ectoplasm and para-architecture. So how I use my ectoplasm? When I go out of the body, I can exteriorize energy and I can interconnect with para-architecture and para-constructions. And the ectoplasm can be used to increase energetic density, support energetic phenomena, and stabilize multidimensional interactions. And this is also another interesting book. Unfortunately, it's in Portuguese, but you can find on Google Books, and you can translate it with the artificial intelligence. It's also interesting because it's also scientific as the other book. And it's about tests and informations and experiences a doctor, a psychiatrist, Luciano Munari had. And he wrote, he perceived, he talked here in the back of the book, and he perceived that many of his patients had problems after many years of studies and observations. He perceived that many of these patients have different symptoms presented by the influence of this substance, this fluid substance that he called ectoplasm, which is the same ectoplasm we are talking here. So here is another book that gives us scientific perceptoplasm and how we can perceive the ectoplasm when in our day by day.
So, Professor Fabiana, I have a question. You said that the out-of-body experience is something that everybody can have. What about ectoplasm? Does everybody has ectoplasm? It comes from a mix of our physical body and our energetic body, so everybody would possibly have some ectoplasm at some point. How does that work?
Yes, this is what Ectolab research. This is what the institution research and investigate, and what we investigate. As long as we have a physical body, we do have the connection. We do have ectoplasm, but we consider there are a few pillars and points we can consider. For example, let's use a pragmatical example. Let's say you are very closed into yourself and you interact less with energies. If you are very close, what we call it in Portuguese, casca grossa, it's like a person is inside a shell in terms of bioenergy. It's this person has a low level of energy. This person has no specific level of ectoplasm because it's still very inside of herself or himself. We do have the connection. Here you can see it's important to say that the definition and the person who has this ectoplasm, which is most of us that has a physical body, it's a parapsychic person who produces more ectoplasm. It's a person who deals more with this phenomena. It's a person who has a strong level of energy. So what we say in Portuguese, energia forte, strong energy. And also, we consider a very important point in Ectolab, which is the assistance phenomena. So we do use our ectoplasm to assist. You can use ectoplasm to debilitate or to create a problem for a person or even in a collective group. But not everybody has the capacity and has this fluid substance very well organized and with this capacity to promote assistance. And this is what Ectolab studies. There are more than 50, there are more than a list of many characteristics and traits that will help you to perceive if you have ectoplasm and how you can deal with and how this phenomena manifests in yourself. Most of us, it's very common to still answer the question that we have accidents, para-accidents. we have a very strong level of energy, but because we don't know how to deal with, we tend to have accidents. So it's a person, I don't know if it haven't ever happened with you, but let's say whenever you talk with that specific friend, he or she, they are all the time having some specific mini accidents. No, while he was walking, no, fell down, or something around him has been unbalanced, and this is totally correlated with the level of energy that is not homeostatic. No, so we consider that the ectoplasm is we have and we can use to assist. And if you are too close, if you are in yourself, or if you are not with a strong presential force, you tend not to have this amount of ectoplasm we are bringing here. No? Can a person that don't have an ectoplasm or that did not develop this assistential ectoplasmic level of energy develop? Yes, the answer is totally possible. No, that's why Ectolab has many different courses to promote their development and the homeostatic assistential work with ectoplasm, and for us to learn how to stereoize the phenomena of sterilization of ectoplasm in a very assistential way. This is not difficult to learn, but we do need some sort of investigation and some dedication. And it's totally connected with bioenergy, no? Because it's it's a type of energy that we have in our body, no?
And there is
Ectoplasm,
sorry,
yes,
and Ectolab also has now a laboratory where they are conducting experiences
yes.
to laboratorial experiences with ectoplasm. But the problem is, again, like instructor Fabiana already said, you cannot use the same paradigm when you are dealing with something that is semi-physical. It's not completely in the physical and materialistic dimension. So for that, what they do? They try to research the effects of ectoplasm. That's when you are able to detect that the existence of this substance and how it can be used and how it can be applied for invisible surgeries or parasurgeries, which are also conducted by Ectolab.
Yes, it's important you mention parasurgeries, no? And what is a parasurgery? We have a dynamic in Ectolab every Friday that deals with parasurgery. And why we connect with ectoplasm? Because in parasurgery, you sterilize your semi-physical, no, you sterilize your ectoplasm. And with that, you can heal many diseases and qualify the health of a person or a group of people, you know, that will be perceived in the future or during this dynamic. They can perceive how they qualify and how they get better. No, that's why we call it parasurgery. The same way we talked before about para methodology, and the same way we talk about para architecture. No? So we have this connection with the physical body. It's a not physical and not 100% and non-physical, because we have semi no physical connection, and it is possible to be developed. And most of us we have some strong effects, but we do have effects we cannot control, and this is what we don't want. We want to control for the better, to assist. Here it's three definitions for us to help to reflect more about the main subject of this lecture, which is the ectoplasm once again. No, there you go, energetic semi-material substance with viscous milk characteristic sterilized by a physical consciousness, almost transparent and retractable, containing chemical properties similar to an organic intracellular component. No? And the ectoplasm, it's a parapsychic person who produces this ectoplasm phenomena and delivers and sterilizes and derives in a parapsychic phenomenon. Ectoplasmy is the phenomena of sterilization of ectoplasm in a intraphysical or in a conscious or non-conscious way. Most of us, even myself, before I started to research my energetical body, because before I started to perceive the capacity of the ectoplasm and if I have or not, if I can deal with or not, I used to be non-lucid about these paraphenomena, about the effects of bioenergy. Because in the universe, according to the multidimensional paradigm, there are two items in the universe, the consciousness and the energy. No? So the consciousness uses the energy to manifest. No? It's important to understand that we all need energy to live. Without energy, we cannot live. We would be dead. So we do need this energy. And this energy tend to be most of the time they tend to be more strong, and sometimes not. When it's strong, you can use for the better. You can deal for the better. No? You have different types of energy. You have neural energy. Energy you sterilize from your crown chakra, front chakra, and which is mental energy. You have different types of energies in your palm chakras. So we do need energy to live. There is a question here. If it's possible for a person to be unaware of their ability to sterilize ectoplasm. Yes, this is exactly what we talked before. It's before I started to do my self-research, I was not aware of the capacity of my sterilization of ectoplasm. And why that is so serious? Thank you for the question. Why is so serious and so important to know that? Because if you have a strong energy, if you have ectoplasm, and if you are not lucid, every thought, no, we have an expression which is pensene, tausin, thoughts, sentiments, and energies. No, so your tausin, when you think, will produce, will promote, will build strong effects, will create strong effects on somebody else. So if you think bad from somebody else and you send your ectoplasm, because you cannot control. It's not about, no, I am going to think this, but I am not going to sterilize energy. It doesn't work like this. You think the energy is there. No? It's different than in the intraphysical. No? So if you have this strong level of energy, and if you are not lucid, and if you think bad about someone, you can affect just by thinking bad. And that's another concept we talked a lot here is do not think bad about anybody. It's very important because you are affecting that person. Use the energy you have to qualify, to assist, and to help everybody. It doesn't matter who or whom or where. No? So yes, we can be not lucid, and you can qualify, we can qualify our lucidity. And here is another question to interconnect with what we've been talking. So what really creates one environment? It is only the architecture, design, no, the decoration, or could be something else. What do you think? Could be something else? Now we are talking about intraphysical environment. How about extraphysical environment? So we have an expression inside the architecture area, which is the abstract thought. When we are going to design a house for a family, first we design before the matter, before it being built. So you have the abstract thought. You have the thoughts, you have the sentiments, and you have the energies. And we are going to debate a concept and bring a concept that is also very important, which is the morphotocene, which are the shapes. You shape your thoughts. Whenever you think, you are also sending a shape, a morphotocene. That morphotocene can be very, how can I say, very light or very strong. So let's go back and talk about the example we talked before. If you think bad about someone for a fraction of a second, 1, 2, 3 seconds is one thing. You generate a morphotocene that is very light. Okay. But if you think during a day, a week, a month, you are densifying the morphotocene about that situation. And the person or the group of person, they can even your thoughts, they can even cause one accident. No, this is what people usually do in what they call black magic, or no, when they send bad energy to create accidents, and on the contrary. Also, what is the best? The best is understanding that whenever we have a thought, sentiment, and energy, we create a morphotocene as well. And let's qualify the morphotocenes using assistential point of view. No? So what creates the environment? The environment, this is to answer the question, the environment is created with our morphotocenes. And you can qualify them, and you can make them stronger, and you can densify either the environment or the situation or the context. Let's understand the differences. Exactly. Thank you for the question. Hello, how are envy and jealousy related to this energy? Perfect. Fantastic question. Exactly. That is the problem. When you feel jealous, when you are envy of someone, you are sending, you are building, you are acting as a para-architect, as if I can say so. You are sending this sort of amount of energy towards somebody else. So a part of self-research that I talked in the beginning, the 20 years I've been working and dealing with self-research, part of that self-research is understand and knowing how to unbuild bad morphotocenes, bad tocenes, and recreate and build more homeostatic tocenes. We don't need envy. We don't need jealousy. On the contrary, we should be happy for somebody, I don't know, dressing better than us, or we should be happy that a friend is talking with somebody else, even if I don't like. This is something that we can control and unbuild. It's not difficult to unbuild envy or jealousy, but we do need self-research. Without self-research, there is no way we can unbuild bad thoughts. So we do need to learn how to do that. This is exactly the my point. Thank you for the question. As we mentioned, we have two things in the universe. Consciousness, us, we manifest. You are seeing me here, so I am manifesting myself in the intraphysical life, but I have also the possibility to go out of my body and manifest in the non-physical life, in the extra-physical life. And I have the capacity to shape, to sterilize energy, and to deal with energy. And to use this strong energy, to use this ectoplasm to help others and to help para environment as a structure. Let's see how this hypothesis work. So the fundamental question here, the fundamental hypothesis we've been addressing here in this broadcast is, can consciousness create architecture? Or more specific, para-architecture? Can ectoplasm contribute to the creation and stabilization of multidimensional environments? First of all, understand what is para-architecture, which is the multidimensional environment. And how the ectoplasm, how my energy as someone being out of the body, how this energy can contribute to the creation and densification or even stabilization of those multidimensional environments. I have another question for the group that is here with me. Feel free to answer. Can you imagine yourself living without having a roof under you? It's impossible. We do need an environment to manifest, especially in the physical life. So that's why we do need to create environments. So we create intraphysical environment, and we also create non-physical environments. And I can use, the hypothesis here is me popping out of the body, sterilizing energies, and helping to densify or to even create a new environment outside of the body. There are many theories that support this possibility. There are more than 10 different theories. I'm just bringing two theories that most of us are connected with. First of all is the Rupert Sheldrake's theory, and the other one is the Gaia theory. Rupert Sheldrake talks about morphic fields, exactly what we are bringing here, invisible fields that shape and influence forms and behaviors. This is our point here. If we cannot live without a roof, from the physical point of view, we create our houses. Every one of us are with me here inside your own house. So if we have our house, if we build our house, if we design our houses, we have there one environment. And I am inside this house with my thoughts, sentiments, and energies. I am inside that house with my morphotocin, with my fields, with my shapes of thoughts, sentiments, and energies in that house. And if I am in that place, I am also shaping the energies of this place. I'm talking about physical point, right? Our houses. So until we arrive in one concept, and I am sorry if I am bringing so many different concepts. There are other broadcasts and lives you can use to understand more about we are addressing here. But we have also another concept that we use called holotocin, which is the conjunction of the thoughts, sentiments, and energies. It's the conjunction of the amount of thoughts we think all the time. They can be more fluid or they can be more densified. So we are creating this, we are shaping these morphic fields, and those fields, they are also influencing, interfering in ourselves. So it's like a cycle. No, we have a house, we live inside that house. Everybody that visit us will be influenced by those thoughts, sentiments, and energies, by those morphotosins, by those shapes I am living in that house. So what I do, the habits, how I think, everything I do, they are in forms. I have the physical and the non-physical part all the time. Even not being lucid about everything we do, about the extra physical counterpart, we do have both parts, physical and non-physical. And with the both parts, if we are lucid about the extra physical parts, we can see how we behave when we popped out of our body. We can look to ourselves in a mirror and see how we behave. And this has a connection with this morphic resonance that Sheldrich brought a few years ago, and it was a very big counterflow. It generates a counterflow in the scientific community because nobody would accept, because it was not possible to prove those fields, those morphic fields. No, and as we mentioned in the beginning of the broadcast, we do need the para methodology to understand his theory. And the Gaia theory is also another theory that it is connected with our class here, which is the self-regulation living system that sustain life. Now that this feedback regulation is also interconnected with what we are addressing here. So here is a projection. I wanna tell one of the projections I've been having outside of the body. No, because I work too much with design and construction, I saw myself many times outside of the body, sterilizing ectoplasm to densify environments, to build environments, to help to densify. This is a research hypothesis, of course, and it's what shaped the decision to talk here and the decision to write a few articles about, exactly this. So if before building houses here in the intraphysical, I create them in my thoughts, sentiments, and energies. So I densify the design of a house to create a house and then to build. Well, in the extraphysical, from the extraphysical point of view, it's the same. I am there, I am sterilized, I saw myself very lucid outside of the body. I was opening arms, sterilizing energies, and shaping environment. Shaping in what sense? In a sense of helping to build with ectoplasm, because we have the connection with the physical environment. Then that helps to densify the energy and the morphic fields outside of the body. So this is a very interesting projection I had. Thank you, Fabiana, for the... one second, I cannot read that. Wait.
So our friend Regina from Germany, she's asking, how would you develop the capacity to support paratherapeutic structures? And I think you had an out-of-body experience in that sense as well, right?
Right. This is, thank you for the question. This is what we want, paratherapeutic structures. And before answering that, I want to invite you all to visit Cognopolis. which is a neighborhood that was built in Foz do Iguaçu for us to debate and study more about ectoplasm and about energy and about the sterilization of energy. Also, as using that as one example of a paratherapeutic structure. But this is exactly about in order for me to answer, of course, remembering that this is a hypothesis, it's not something that is scientifically proved with the traditional paradigm. No, we do need to use this para-scientific methodology to experience that, and also based on the principle of disbelief that we talked in the beginning. But I can structure by the capacity of densifying the energy in the para construction. The ectoplasm, inside or even outside of the body, has the capacity to be densified. When something is very light, let's say, let me pick something here as one example. Here, I will use that as example. This paper is very light. It's very light. It goes with a wind. This book is not light. It's thick. It's more dense. With the energy is the same. I can densify the energy to help to generate communities. I'm not saying I am capable of generate communities. Let's understand, please. It's a hypothesis that I am bringing here. I am bringing the possibility of being able to densify structures. Because thinking, in order to answer the question, still thinking about barotrosphere. It's a troposphere environment. It's a very dense environment with many sorts of diseases. That is a very dense environment. Can I have other dense environment for assisting people, for helping people? Yes, it's the same density, but with a totally different intention. If my intention is to help, to assist, I will use that intention behind, in the back of my mind, before exteriorizing energies. And this changes completely my level of sterilization. If I send my ectoplasm, if I send my energy, if I sterilize my energy without being lucid about my intention, I will be sending anything. I can be sending bad things, I can be sending unbalanced energy, I can be even provoking accidents. But if, on the other hand, I am very lucid about intention, and my intention is to help, my intention is to contribute with the system that is there, I will use that lucidity and that level of discernment to really build something that is worth, and that structure, that paratherapeutic structure, will be helping to assist others. So the main difference here is, first of all, intention. Second, densifying the energy with that homeostatic intention, as I am doing in this out-of-the-body projection I mentioned before. Here are some of the foundations data that we talked before, in the same research hypothesis. Can ectoplasm contribute to the construction, organization, and stabilization of para-environment? This is the hypothesis we are highlighting here once again. That our energy is being used as a substrate to involve and to stabilize. multidimensional architecture structures. There is a difference from the architecture here in the physical life and the para-architecture in the extra-physical life. Here in the physical life, because of the gravity, no, there are places without the gravity, but here we have the gravity. So since we have the gravity, we need a solid foundation. So we build, when we build houses, places, countries, no, cities, we always build from the ground up. In the extra-physical, we don't need that. So in the extra-physical, that's why we can start the construction from the roof. No, here it's impossible to imagine this, right? You cannot imagine starting a construction in the roof and then going down. No, it's impossible. But in the extra-physical dimension, we can do that. I saw myself doing that. No, starting from the third floor, second floor, first floor. So this is also an interesting difference in terms of para construction. And why it's important to understand this hypothesis? Well, the importance of interconnecting this hypothesis is, number one, being very lucid and aware about the environments we tend to visit. It is, and here it's also one invitation, it's very easy to perceive the energy around us. We just need to be lucid. It's not difficult. Really, it's not difficult. We just need to do like shape our energies and be more lucid and aware, strengthen our awareness to be able to perceive. So this is why we are studying this, to be more lucid about the environments in which we tend to go, in environments we visit. And why this study this hypothesis as well? Because of the connection between consciousness and energies. We are all the time interacting with energy. Energies interferes in the environment, as we gave one example in the beginning, when we talked about the morphotocin. The environment, they influence the consciousness. So we are all the time interfering and being interfered whenever we navigate, whenever we visit different places. So this is understanding this correlationship, understanding this may expand our knowledge of multidimensional reality and our knowledge of intraphysical reality.
We have a question. Leona is asking if if energy can be used in manifesting what a person desires.
Yes. Let's go back. Thank you for the question. Let's go back when we talked about morphotocins. Morphotocins, they can be light or they can be densified by your thoughts. The more you think, the more energy you place, the more you start to build that desire or that situation you want. So it's about seeing yourself doing that. But yes, it can be used to manifest things we wish, we desire, we would like to have. It's just a matter of being able to guide our energy towards the right focus. Yes, Anna?
And in the other hand, Regina asks if we can also deconstruct our morphotocins.
Great question. Yes, and this is what we wish. Actually, if we are lucid about what we are doing today in our day by day, we tend to be sometimes cleaning things we did bad in the past. We create bad morphotocins all over, even around us. For example, let's use the example of a person with bellicistic profile. Person is fighting all the time, angry all the time, irritated all the time, fighting with everybody, and not talking with anybody, and also creating problems after problems. This is a morphotocene that needed to be unbuilt, needed to be
Recycled.
deconstruction, recycled, exactly. And how we do that? You learn about yourself, you look yourself, you perceive how you are now, how you were before, and then you can recreate new tocenes, new thoughts, sentiments, and ideas with your, remember we talk intention. We do need to change our intention. No, I remember the first time one of the first times I started thinking about self-research, I've heard this expression, qualidade da intenção, no, the quality of your intention. And then I thought, what? What is that? No, quality of intention. Now I see very different. It's really important. The intention is energy. No? So you have the intention to help. It's completely different than having the intention of create a problem to someone. Oh, and there you have different layers and thresholds you can scale on top of that. But yes, we can either unbuild um, bad morphotocenes, and we can also use our energy and our ectoplasm to create new possibilities. For example, um, in the museums, no? International museums. There are so many international museums in which before, they were houses or places in which bad things happen. So if we recycle the architecture, we also tend to recycle the environment. Sometimes it's not enough, no, sometimes it's enough, depending on the context and on the situation. But if you create an open architect and you invite people, for example, you create a park, you invite people to relax, to be there, to see flowers, to see nature, you are changing the holotocene, you are changing morphotocenes that are there, perhaps stuck, no?
And even
Gravitating
the
around.
consciousnesses that are linked to this process as well.
Exactly. The more linked you are with the process, the more you can recycle yourself and you can reverberate and you can unbuild the old toxins and the old morphotoxins. Yes, yes, we can.
Very good.
Okay, let's see here. So we talked about why study this hypothesis. No, and now let's just highlight, perhaps this slide should be more in the beginning, but it's important just to say that architecture begins with information. Oh, and we talked about intention slash information. Oh, we need information to build a house. No, so you need to have the cognitive abstraction. So we collect information, we talked with the family, and then we started to shape the house in our brain. And then you are creating morphotocenes, assistential morphotocenes, because it will be a house for the family. So they are assistential. And then you can densify those holotocenes, those morphotocenes, and then you can create the blueprint and then design, and then you organize, you deal with everything that is together, the static, the functions, the balance, the equilibrium, the detail, and then you make that all official under the city hall, and then you build that. When we build this house, it's probably already been built in the extra physical, right? because it comes there first and then here. Oh, because here it takes time. No, remember we talked the ground and then comes brick by brick. No, so but it's interesting that this process helps to shape the results. No, in the beginning we talked about effects, ectoplasmic effects. Now, this process helps to shape the result and the effect of the family that is going to be living there. And it's also also interesting to analyze that every lot, every plot, every land has a history behind. No? Once in my profession, I help many different colleagues. Oh, sometimes they visit me and they say, Fabiana, can you help me with this situation? Usually it's a problem we need to solve. And many times it has a connection with energy. Oh, so I received this colleague and he asked my help and he said, I don't know why, but whenever I am trying to build a house in that plot, in that land, I've been having many different accidents. I don't know why. So we went there, and then we scanned the place, no, with the energies, and we could perceive some things that were awkward in some specific places. And then we went to dig in the history of the land, no? And we could perceive things that were necessary to be addressed with the family before starting building the house. No, before they started to build and they stopped the process because of many accidents. No, once we clean the para history, once we understood the para history, it was much easier and much fluid to build the rest of the house. So it's the connection we have. This is just one example to show that we have a strong connection between physical and extra physical. We are all the time doing things and using different dimensions. The only difference is that we don't see. And then we think we live in an intra-physical life because we don't see the extra-physical life. So it's important. I had many have been having many other examples in my profession as well. We had water infiltration, in one building with so many floors, and then it was under the floor and nobody were able to find, and that was creating a big problem. So I went there. I started to walk in the area. I started to sterilize energy in the area. And then, as I mentioned before, it's not difficult to perceive energy. As I was walking, when I was walking, I felt something awkward in a specific point of that land. And then I called the workers and I said, open here. Problem is here. And it was there. That was the infiltration, and that it was impossible to discover without using energies. So that's why we have this important connection, and it's possible to use, to profit from there. So we are going up to the end of our lecture, and it's important to talk about the consciousness as the architect. Also, we all are architects. As long as we are lucid about our intentions. When I talk about the architects, I am talking about balanced one, assistential ones. So we have this interconnection between consciousness, intention, information, and energy. So as we mentioned, architecture begins before matter. So by interconnecting intention, dealing with energies, using the ectoplasm I have for an assistential purpose, donating energy, sterilizing energy for the best, I am also acting as an universe architect. No, I am also acting as someone that is there to help, to contribute in the environment. And if consciousness can influence people, could it also influence the environment? No, this is correlated with what we talked in the beginning. No, we talked about the spirit of the place, degrees of life. No, and this is the question that led us to research this hypothesis. No, so can ectoplasm contribute to the construction, organization, and stabilization of multidimensional environments? Yes. If we help in the intraphysical, of course, we can be going out of the body and helping outside of the body to clean environments, to densify places, to promote assistance, no, to deconstruct toxic morphotoxins. No. So we can help in that matter a lot as long as we are lucid about those phenomena, as long as we are lucid about all the different dimensions we can be acting. The role of energies, we talked already. No, the energies used together with our intention to organize, connect, shape, and support. Remember, there is no energy in our intraphysical life without a shape. We can have a light shape or a thick or a dense shape, depend on our intention and how we contribute to that. No, and where does ectoplasm fit? Well, our energy, no, can be our ectoplasm can be used to help and to promote assistential and para-assistential in different para environments, and can be used to densify a lot, no, and can be used to environmental stabilization, to promote solid background, no, solid structures, to help with that structures. Here, since the time is short, I am not going to deep in this slide. It's just to bring that there are much more connection between para-architecture and ectoplasm. The correlation between para-construction and ectoplasm. Here are some correlated concepts, but I guess I would need a continuation of this broadcast for us to touch all these concepts, but we touch most of them, no? Thought, morphotocene, ectoplasmic conduction, ectoplasm, exteriorization of ectoplasm, para-architecture, intention and criticality, extra-physical communities, we talked briefly, no? And here it's an invitation, no? We can qualify our energy to help with the extra-physical reurbanization. Now, we can use our energy to promote that, to help. And how we do that? Well, it's not an easy answer and also not a simple answer, but we can start by wherever you go, whenever you go, wherever you are, assist more and create less problem. If you can do this, you are in some way helping to the extra-physical reurbanization, no? And create habits that will promote and help and assist everywhere we are and everywhere we go. And here is also an extra-physical environment. I try to reproduce the environment I've been visiting when I was outside of the body. It was a sort of a para-hospital, and people were there sterilizing energies for consciousness, for people that had died, and they were there sleeping, and receiving energies, like an energetic shower, energetic bath. It was a very interesting non-physical environment. I like it a lot, the experience. And yeah, I guess I will end with this. This kind of summarize everything we've been addressing here. So we worked as an integrated model. If we have lucid intention with good information, if we know how to apply our ectoplasm, we can use to shape environments, para environments. We can use to qualify environment and clean places that need to be clean. We can help with that. We can either help shaping environments to assist others, and you can also help with unbuilding environments and morphotocins that were there perhaps for decades. And this is part of the reurbanization process. So that interconnects everything we've been talking, and this is the final research hypothesis. So para architecture may emerge from the conscious, which is the lucid organization of multidimensional energies, while ectoplasm function as one of the energetic resources, not the only one. It's important to say it's not the only one. It's one of the energetic resources capable of stabilizing this environment and para environment. And this is the reference for us to I leave there for you. It's very good. There are interesting books. Most of them you can have it downloaded for free. Okay. I accelerate a little bit because of the time. We already finished our time. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm sorry, there
Yes.
are really many more information I would like to address and bring, but due to the time,
It's a short time, and
Mhm.
we covered so much. And Fabiana is a very special guest. She has our doors opened for her anytime she wants to come back. So if you guys have any other questions that maybe weren't answered today, we would like to give her email here so you can get in contact with her and also discuss more about this subject or others. We have instructor Fabiana in other lives in the Consciousness in Evolution channel. You can search in our YouTube channel and find it out. There are other lives about ectoplasm as well. So we are here to inform, and we are glad that you guys are here and discussing with us those interesting subjects. We are going to be back here in 2 weeks with another live. And thank you for joining us today. And if you enjoyed this talk, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. See you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.